In this video, we will take a look at the complex number system. Last time we have learned the real number system. Basically, there are two kinds of real numbers. One is rational and the other one is irrational. In Simple Form, we will learn that we can actually extend the real number system into the complex number system. There are three kinds of complex numbers. The first one is the real numbers, and the second kind is called the purely imaginary numbers, and the third one is others. Basically, complex numbers means any number which can be expressed in the form of a plus bi, where I is square root of -1, which is the imaginary unit, and a and b are real numbers. For real numbers, it means that the value of b is 0. That means there is no I in this number. For example, 3, 0, -2.1, √2, and pi, these are all examples of real numbers. In contrast, for purely imaginary numbers, a is 0 and b is not 0. For example, I, 3i, -2.1i, √2i, and pi I. These are all examples of purely imaginary numbers. In other words, if we have a non-zero real number times I, this is a purely imaginary number. Lastly, we have complex numbers in which a and b are both not 0. For example, 2 plus I minus 5 plus 3i, 7 minus 2.1i, 6.9 plus √2i, and 1 plus pi I. These are all examples of other kinds of complex numbers. There is an important fact for complex numbers. We should know that all the numbers that we learned are actually complex numbers. In other words, all the numbers that we learned can be expressed as a plus bi. There is no exception. For example, 3 is complex because 3 can be expressed as 3 plus 0i. 0 is complex because 0 can be expressed as 0 plus 0i. And -2.1i can be expressed as 0 minus 2.1i, and therefore it is complex as well. For a complex number, the value a has a name called the real part. And the value b here, we call it the imaginary part of a complex number. Therefore, for the complex number 3, the real part is 3 and the imaginary part is 0. And then for the complex number 0, the real part is 0 and the imaginary part is 0 as well. And then for -2.1i, the real part is 0 and the imaginary part is -2.1, but not -2.1i. There is no I in the imaginary part. Let's take a look at two more examples. For the complex number pi minus I, the real part here is pi and the imaginary part is -1. And then for the complex number I minus √2, because it can be expressed as -√2 plus I, therefore the real part is -√2 and the imaginary part is 1, but not I. To conclude, the number system we have now is called the complex number system. And the real number system that we have learned is just part of this complex number system. And all the numbers that we have learned are complex numbers.